We're running out of time to stop runaway climate change. And what this government should be doing is bringing bills to Parliament to fast-track the phase-out of coal and gas, and at the very least ban new coal and gas. And instead what this Parliament is debating is a bill that will effectively make it easier for large gas projects to be approved in Australia and override the opposition, in particular of First Nations groups who have put out a remarkable fight against really large gas projects in this country. That is genuinely remarkable. It's remarkable when the science is telling us that right now we are on the brink of global catastrophe. Australia has already, over the last few years, been smashed by record, awful, destructive bushfires that have tragically taken lives, devastating floods, devastating heat waves, droughts in some parts of the country at the same time. And what this government should be doing is looking at how do we stop any new massive gas project. Santos, we know, has written to the Resource Minister asking for changes along these lines, changes that will make it easier for gas corporations to bypass existing, already very weak environmental laws. And now we're in a situation where this Parliament, just as sea surface temperatures around the world are reaching record heights, just as we're on the brink of a climate catastrophe where people have already lost lives to this catastrophe, just as we're debating that, now we stand here trying the best we can to delay a bill that will allow projects like the Santos' Barossa project, giant gas carbon bomb. Just as we're trying to stop that, this is a bill that will make it easier for it to be approved. And I think one of the things that this government likes to do is what it attempts to do is to pretend like, well, Australia doesn't have much of a role to play in stopping climate change. We're just a small part player. Except for the fact that Australia is the third largest exporter of fossil fuels in the world. There are two countries ahead of us, Saudi Arabia and Russia. Not exactly auspicious company, is it? The role Australia could play in combating dangerous, destructive, deadly global heating could be world-leading. We could be sending a signal to the world and saying we will not open a single new gas and coal project. We could be sending a signal to the world saying we will tax the existing coal and gas projects and raise money that we could spend on phasing out of coal and gas in this country and creating hundreds of thousands of jobs, lifting people out of poverty. But instead we're in Parliament, and the government is trying to rush through a bill that will make it more likely and easier for Santos to get giant carbon bomb gas projects approved. These are gas corporations, by the way, that wield enormous political power over our political system. Santos, we know, has been a large and generous donor to the Labor Party, both at a federal level and at a state level as well. And gas corporations like this have gotten their way. I mean, we're in a housing crisis, right? And we could be debating an urgent bill to tackle the housing crisis. And instead we're debating an urgent bill to give gas corporations more power. The gas corporations, by the way, that are some of the most profitable in the world, barely pay any tax because of a tax regime that was and a new gas tax that was written with gas executives in the room. We are a country now run by gas corporations. They get whatever they want, regardless of the human consequences, regardless of the cost to the environment, to the climate, to people's lives. And this government should be ashamed that it's fallen to the Greens to fight a rearguard action to try and stop a bill that will ride roughshod over First Nations voices in the same term of government that they claimed to care and try and get the voice passed. So on the one hand, they want to give First Nations people a voice, but on the other, they want to silence First Nations people, where it actually comes down to, say, standing up to massive gas corporations. I think future generations are going to look back at moments like this and ask, what was this Parliament doing? What was this Parliament doing? When there are billions of climate refugees on the move, when global food systems start collapsing, when entire ocean ecosystems start dying, and when places like my home state of Queensland, large areas that are considered uninhabitable because of the heat and humidity in the summer, in 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 years' time, they're going to look back at moments like this and why was a Labor government attempting to pass a bill that makes it easier for gas projects to continue to destroy our climate.
Authorised by J. McCall, Australian Greens, Canberra.